Hi, I'm Nick, and welcome to Part 2 of the original sequel trilogy, Dark Empire 2. When last we left our heroes, Leia had rescued Luke from the dark side and the clutches of the Emperor, and he seemed to be destroyed for good. As we'll soon find out, it's not quite that easy to kill the most powerful being in the galaxy. Again, I'll be reading the longer title crawl from my old edition of the trade paperback, as they shortened it in later versions. Let's begin. Operation Shadow Hand. Luke Skywalker's bold attempt to learn the dark side secrets of Emperor Palpatine nearly ended in disaster for Luke and the Rebel Alliance. But thanks to Luke's Jedi sister Leia Organa Solo, Han Solo, and other good friends, Luke was rescued and the Empire's terrible World Devastator weapons were destroyed. In a final confrontation with the Emperor himself, Luke and Leia joined together as Jedi in the Force. Enveloped in light, the Emperor fell victim to his own cataclysmic dark side energy. Long before the cloned Emperor's demise, the evil ruler initiated an elite corps of 7 warriors whom he empowered with the dark side of the Force. These Dark Jedi, as he called them, were authorized to put into action his master plan to retake the galaxy, Operation Shadow Hand. Following the disappearance of their Emperor, the Imperial elite, under the command of Darkside Executor Cedrus, initiated a series of assaults against the world in proximity to the Galactic Core. Luke Skywalker, in the meantime, had found clues in the Jedi holocron which made him believe that some Jedi Knights might have survived Darth Vader's program of extermination. Near the Kron Drift in the derelict space city Nespis 8, Luke discovered the fallen Jedi Cam Solusar. With great difficulty, Luke managed to free Solusar from the dark side. In gratitude, Solusar agreed to join Luke in reviving the ancient company of Jedi Knights. As Luke returns to Pinnacle Base, Darkside Executor Cedrus is going forward with Operation Shadowhand. Cedrus and his men are preparing to deliver the Empire's discipline to a renegade manufacturing world at the fringes of the Galactic Core. Our story begins with Executor Cedrus attempting to retake a rebellious Imperial factory world, Balmorra, where their greatest weapons are made. In order to take the planet without destroying its ability to make said weapons, a ground assault is made. At first, Balmorra's new model war droids seem to have the upper hand on the Empire, who are using last year's models. But the Empire has a new weapon of its own, the Shadow Droids. These cyborg fighters are built around the brains of dead Imperial fighter pilots, wired to tactical computers in an unholy amalgamation of man and machine. Beyond that, the brains are further empowered by the dark side of the Force. The Balmorrans have a secret weapon of their own, however, the X-1 Viper Automaton. These new weapons, and their molecular shielding which can absorb attacks to power its own blasters, were meant for the rebels, but they are now needed to fight for Balmorra's freedom. Finding an even match, Executor Cedrus withdraws to consider a treaty. Meanwhile, Luke returns to the rebel fleet with a new friend in tow, the recently found and turned Jedi Cam Solusar, whom Luke was guided to by the Jedi holocron. The rebels discuss a plan to intercept the Viper droids that Governor Beltane of Balmorra has just sold to Executor Cedrus. The plan is to take the cargo ship and pack it with rebels, and continue to fly it straight to Biss for a central assault. Luke warns the rebel high command that it's too dangerous, but he is outvoted by Lando, Leia, Wedge Antilles, and Mon Mothma. Mon tells Luke to focus on restoring the Jedi and let the rebels conduct the war. Cam and Luke prepare for a journey to Ossus, where the holocron says a cache of Jedi artifacts may be found. Leia wants to find Vima, the Jedi she met on Nar Shaddaa, before it is too late. Luke wants her to go into hiding on their home of New Alderaan, as she is 6 months pregnant with her 3rd child, and Leia agrees, but only after she has found Vima. Han's friends Sala and Nix remain at Pinnacle Base, having left their ship, the Starlight Intruder, on Biss. They want to be part of the rebel team making the Biss run, but first they will join Han, Chewbacca, and Leia on their return to Nar Shaddaa. As they depart, Luke asks Cam to tell him everything he knows about Executor Cedrus. On Biss, word is being spread that the Emperor had hidden several backup clone tanks, but rumors spread that he may not take a new clone body. Cedrus faces the High Council's wrath for his failure at Balmorra. They plan to execute him, but he has returned to Biss to ensure that that never happens. At that moment, 2 of the Emperor's closest friends are destroying the clone tanks that Luke missed when they are found by Cedrus. A short battle ensues, and the Executor makes good on his name by executing both of the traitors. He is soon congratulated by the reborn Emperor, who orders Cedrus to bring him Leia and her child. The Millennium Falcon arrives at Nar Shaddaa, and as Sala pilots her through the narrow canyons, Han worries more about being hunted by Boba Fett than the roving Imperial patrols. At that moment, Fett is negotiating with Imperial envoys. The negotiations soon break down as they bring up Fett's history as a former stormtrooper who murdered his commanding officer and try to force the issue. Fett responds with firepower and escapes in his ship, Slave One. Rather than chase him, the Empire has gotten word that the Falcon is there, and they begin the hunt for the rebels. The rebels make quick work of the Imperials who are in Nynx's garage. Meanwhile, Vima has just evaded the Imperials yet again, using survival skills developed during her long years of hiding. Han and Leia evade the bounty hunters and Hutt thugs, who take each other out in the crossfire. Failing to find Vima, but learning from a friend of hers that she has retreated to the lower levels, they return to the Falcon, only to find that Sala and Nynx have left on their own. While exiting Nynx's garage through a secret tunnel, they encounter Boba Fett coming the other way. Slave One bounces off the Falcon during a game of chicken which Han easily wins. Searching the depths of Nar Shaddaa, they find Vima at last, but it's not long before Fett finds them. Fett is attacked by Chewbacca, but manages to wound the Wookiee before Chewbacca rips off Fett's helmet, and Fett uses his jetpack only to slam into the roof. Han, Leia, Chewie, and Vima board the Falcon and leave the city depths. Back near the surface, Han's old friend Mako has betrayed him to the Empire for the redoubled bounty, but Han is able to evade the Star Destroyer's tractor beam and make it lock on to Mako's flight control tower. The tower is wrenched free and pulled up to impale the huge ship. The result is spectacular as the Star Destroyer crashes into the city below, and our heroes are finally able to escape. Near Biss, Sala and Nynx make entry past the shield with a stolen docking code and lie about being repair technicians, where they witness the building of a massive weapon that dwarfs the surrounding Star Destroyers. Down on the planet's surface, the Emperor is displeased with Executor Cedrus for his men's failure on Nar Shaddaa. Cedrus says that Skywalker is all that matters, and he has tracked him and the traitor Kam Solusar to Ossus. The Emperor, desperate to prevent the return of the Jedi Order, orders Cedrus to go personally to capture the Jedi alive, or else face certain doom in the madness beyond death. Luke has traded in his X-Wing for a new and powerful two-man ship, the Jedi Explorer. They land on Ossus, which was a center of Jedi teaching for thousands of years, until 4,000 years ago when it was devastated in a massive conflict known only as the Sith War. Luke and Kam easily destroy Cedrus's probe droid that was tracking them. Exploring the planet in an airspeeder, Luke and Kam soon come upon two youths tied to a rock. Luke senses the Force in them and on this planet, and they stop to help. They are Rafe and Jem, brother and sister members of the Yasana, a group of warrior shamans who came to Ossus 4,000 years ago after the war. The rest of the tribe soon after Luke frees the youths and attack, using the Force to guide their gun-fired arrows. Luke and Kam deflect the missiles, but do not attack, for Luke knows that every one of these people is a potential Jedi. The Yasana then attempt to use the Force itself as their weapon, but Luke responds in kind and with greater skill, finally earning their respect. It seems they have not forgotten the Jedi. Soon, Cedrus arrives with a squadron of Dark Force-empowered stormtroopers. A fierce battle ensues, but with the Jedi on their side, the Yasana repel the Imperial attack. Cedrus and his second-in-command Vil Gore attack Luke and Kam, but the battle is short-lived. Cedrus, in desperation, takes Jem hostage, threatening her in an attempt to escape to his ship. However, the tree he has backed up against rises from the ground, revealing itself to be Ood Binar, the Jedi Luke and Leia saw in the holocron. Cedrus turns all of his dark power on Ood, who draws power from the planet to meet his attack. They disappear together into the planet, as Luke and Jem share a moment of kinship, and through the Force Luke begins to understand the Yasana language. Luke finds a cavern where Ood stood, a treasure he had guarded for thousands of years. It is a trove of hundreds of lightsabers, awaiting the day when a new Jedi Order would have need of them. The Imperial Starhauler Reliance is making its way to Biss to deliver the shipment of Viper Automaton droids, while unbeknownst to the Empire, rebels, led by Lando Calrissian, have stowed away inside the droids, along with R2-D2 and C-3PO, who will be needed to infiltrate the Emperor's citadel. At that moment, the reborn Emperor is inspecting his massive new weapon, the Galaxy Gun. It is a gun the size of a large space station, capable of firing intelligent projectiles through hyperspace to strike anywhere in the galaxy with precision and to devastating effect. All the destructive power of the Death Star with the range of a hyperdrive, it is the Emperor's new method of striking fear into the galaxy, and may have inspired the long-range planet destroyer in the Disney film Starkiller Base. News of Cedrus's defeat has reached the Emperor, and he promotes Zexer Nist and Tedrin Shah from his inner circle to Executor and Second-in-Command, empowering them with the dark side of the Force. This empowering is severe enough to cause a disturbance in the Force felt by Luke, even though he is far away on Ossus. On Ossus, the Ysanna have led Luke to an ancient Jedi library left undisturbed for 4,000 years. Rafe and Jem tell their tribal elders they wish to become Jedi, and the Ysanna agree to guard the library until Luke returns with rebel excavators. Luke, Cam, Rafe, and Jem depart Ossus to return to Pinnacle Base. Meanwhile, the Millennium Falcon is leaving Nar Shaddaa when it is attacked by more bounty hunters. Manning the ship's powerful guns, Leia and Chewbacca make short work of them. However, Boba Fett also attacks from hiding, damaging the Falcon. Han takes her into the nearby gas cloud to escape, and Fett does not dare to follow him into the radioactive area. Han's luck holds out as he comes out clean on the other side. The luck doesn't hold for long, though, as the disabled Falcon is taken on board a huge steam-powered battleship, and it lands on the antique planet of Ganath, a civilization stuck in the era of low-tech, slow-speed space travel due to their isolation from the rest of the galaxy. Han, Leia, Chewie, and Vima are soon met by the ruler of Ganath, Kim Apatogenos Brand, a half-man encased in a floating ball of prosthetic machinery. He immediately recognizes that Leia and Vima are Jedi and welcomes them. He tells them his story, that he was hunted by Vader and left floating in space, his ruined body encased in a pressure suit, until he was rescued by the Ganathians, and that he has used the Jedi powers to rule them with justice ever since. Sala and Nix have made it to Biss, only to find that their ship, the Starlight Intruder, was scrapped for parts. The Reliance has also arrived, and the Imperials begin unloading the Viper automatons. As soon as the last one is on the ground, the rebels strike, activating the machines and piloting them, attacking everything in sight and heading towards the Citadel. The Vipers take on everything the Empire can throw at them, ground troops and TIE fighters alike. They destroy all the machines sent against them, breaking through every level of security until they are assaulting the Citadel itself. But the Emperor has one last line of defense. He unleashes giant creatures genetically bred for war, much like Rancors but empowered with dark side energy. The war droids were built to withstand incoming fire, not the brutal savagery of these beasts, and their assault is finally brought to a halt as the rebels escape on foot. Sala and Nix have been following the news of the rebel assault, and rustled up a few volunteers from the spacers at the bar to go and help. 3 heavily armed cargo ships come to the rebels' rescue just in time, but the war beasts aren't giving up so easily. As one tries to climb into the ship, it finds R2 standing in its way. The Emperor himself orders his men to allow the escape. In his overconfidence, he plans to allow them to return to Pinnacle Base just in time to be destroyed by his new Galaxy Gun. Back on Ganath, the Falcon is undergoing emergency repairs, and a new weapon is mounted to replace its damaged missile launcher, a lightning gun. King Brand has been out of touch for a long time, and is amazed to learn of Vader's downfall. He elects to join Leia and Vima to join Luke's new Jedi Order. The Falcon departs Ganath back through the radioactive cloud, only to find Boba Fett awaiting their exit on the other side. He attacks, but Chewie fires the new lightning gun, and it disables Slave 1 and sends it spiraling into the cloud. The Falcon is finally able to return to Leia and Han's home on New Alderaan. Aboard the Jedi Explorer, Luke trains his new recruits Rafe and Jem, just as Obi-Wan trained him aboard the Falcon long ago. Jem is hit with laser fire and destroys the remote in anger. Luke asks Jem about her flash of anger, and she tells him she thinks she is much like Luke himself in that regard, and that although he has not told her of his past, the Force shows her things. They both feel as if they'd known each other for a long time, and they share a kiss, having fallen in love. On New Alderaan, Han and Leia are reunited with their children Jaina and Jacen, and their caretaker, Leia's old friend Winter. Meanwhile, the Jedi Explorer is exiting hyperspace near Pinnacle Base, as tragedy is about to occur. The projectile from the Emperor's galaxy gun exits hyperspace, and despite Luke's attempt to fire on it, it strikes the moon of Dasucha. It carries a particle disintegrator that begins a chain reaction, causing every molecule of the moon to explode, quickly reducing the moon to space dust. It's a bit more epic here, but this somewhat mirrors the scene in The Last Jedi when all the rebel leaders are killed. Back on New Alderaan, Han, Leia, and Chewie enjoy a quiet afternoon with the kids as a small ship approaches. Leia senses that the pilot is Luke. He lands and delivers the grim news that Pinnacle Base is gone and the Alliance leaders are all dead. Darth Vader's castle Bast is on the planet Vijun, and it is now the headquarters of the Emperor's Dark Jedi. The Emperor arrives just as his minions torture a rebel pilot and finally learn the location of New Alderaan. Rather than destroy it with the galaxy gun, he desires Leia's children more than anything, and so he orders Zexer Nist and Tedrin Shah to take a corps of 7 elite Dark Jedi there to secure his prize. On New Alderaan, Luke, Cam, Brand, and Vima are teaching Rafe and Jem the ways of the Force. Leia knows that without the rebel leaders, victory will be all the more difficult, and so Han and Chewie will go into deep space to send a signal to Lando's attack team to avoid giving away the location of New Alderaan. Luke and Jem spend the evening with each other, exploring their deepening feelings. That night, Luke's dreams are haunted by visions of Vader and the Emperor. His nightmare is so deep he is unaware of the poisonous scarab droids crawling on his body. The Dark Jedi Tedris and Curtis Morty move to kill their weakened prey, but they are interrupted by the timely arrival of Leia and Jem. Leia dispatches Curtis, but Tedris shoots Jem before she can react. Leia takes swift vengeance. Vima arrives and moves quickly to save Luke while Leia comforts Jem as she lies on the floor. Vima is using Force healing here as seen in The Rise of Skywalker and The Mandalorian. The other 5 Dark Jedi, led by Zexer Nist, are nearing the building where the children lie sleeping, but they are confronted by Brand, Rafe, and Cam. A fierce battle ensues, with Brand wielding a lightsaber built into his floating ball of machinery, and Jem killing Nist himself. Rafe uses the Force to rescue the children from the grasp of a Dark Jedi, as Leia arrives to put an end to him with a blaster. Leia tells Rafe his sister has been hurt, and he arrives just in time for her final moments, as sadly Vima is unable to save her. Just when it seems that things can't get any worse, AT-AT walkers appear on the horizon, heading for the rebel settlement, sort of like the walkers who appear at the end of The Last Jedi. Luke, Cam, Vima, and Rafe narrowly escape the destruction as they run. Fortunately, at that moment, Han returns with Lando and the other cargo ships to fight off the attack and rescue the survivors, the Millennium Falcon's new lightning gun proving very effective against the walkers. Their refuge is a derelict city in space near Nespis 8, abandoned 4,000 years ago after the Sith War. There, they find that all is not lost, for Mon Mothma, Admiral Akbar, and most of the rebel leaders have survived, having managed to evacuate Pinnacle Base in time. Leia is going into labor while Luke and the other Jedi explore the excavated Jedi Library, which is saved as well. I think the Jedi Library here became the ancient Jedi text that Rey took from Luke on Ahch-To. Leia gives birth and names her 3rd child Anakin Solo, and reminds Luke that this new hope is their future, and that generations of Jedi will follow them. Luke has a vision of a bright future, when Leia's children are grown, and many Jedi Knights will retake the galaxy for peace and justice. Luke says that his dark dream has ended, that he is truly out of the Emperor's shadow now, and that he knows that evil cannot withstand the light of the Jedi. The end. I hope you've enjoyed part 2 of this sequel trilogy, and I hope you come back about a week for Empire's End, the 3rd and final part. Thank you for your time.